Alright, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, man, this is all getting tiring, okay? This entire drama has become so mentally exhausting, and it's kind of ridiculous how far it's getting dragged out. My fault, I got a Twitter DM. But bro, this thing has just been dragged on so long. If you guys are not aware of what I'm talking about here, this whole Pokimane, Fedmyster, Yvonne situation that's kind of unfolded over the last week or so at this point, so I'm gonna spend this video kind of recapping a little bit of what happened in the previous videos, because I know how it is, man. I wouldn't want to watch 30 minutes of videos to try and catch the whole story if you're not really, hip to what's going on. But so Fedmyster just dropped another document yesterday. It's apparently like his, I guess, response to his post or whatever, right? And to keep it a buck 50, man, like there's just so many of these Google documents at this point. It's becoming so hard to like tie your head around everything going on. We're talking about like, I don't know, 50 pages plus of Google Documents at this point. Like, you legit could combine this all into a book at this point and sell it, which is weird in the first place because, like, historically, YouTube/internet drama has never been, hey, yo, bro, I'm about to go write this essay, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to drop a 5-paragraph MLA format essay against the person that I'm supposed to be, like, kind of beefing with or exposing. Like, man, back in my day, we would just hop on a diss track, right? Or we would just drop like a 40-minute video talking about them, right? We would never just, go write some document up. But I guess getting hip to the new wave is a little confusing sometimes because that's what we're doing. So basically, a document to begin all this got leaked, in which Fedmyster kind of made a whole bunch of crazy points in which he, I guess, kind of said that Pokimane led him on. They had this off and on relationship that never really went anywhere. He exposes how she's basically this big fake person and she did all this crazy stuff wrong. He's got all these screenshotted text messages to show what he's saying. He's bringing out all these points and, everyone's like, oh man, Pokimane, she looks so bad. She led this guy on and everything. She's getting her cheeks clapped by this other dude. All kinds of crazy stuff. Pokimane responds with her own little document, basically poking holes, I guess, in some of the stuff that Fedmyster said, trying to clarify that the situation wasn't really a big deal anymore because apparently they had worked everything out and whatnot after the document had gotten leaked or whatever, and she became aware of it and talked to him. And so now we're at this point where this document's coming back out and he's trying to defend himself from some more of the points that were made and whatever, and I don't know, it's a really confusing situation, man. At the end of the day, like, we're getting to this point where, like I said, it's getting hard to wrap your head around everything here. So I guess with that whole situation wrapped up, we'll go ahead and talk about the newest document. And man, I really hope this is the last document in this I have to read through. I mean, to keep it a buck 50, man, I really wish these guys would just start dropping videos instead of these documents, man. I mean, the reading part, I'm just not a huge fan of that. And then on top of that, like, I feel like the video is just more easy to digest as is. So anyway, with like all that being said, I kind of want to jump right on, I guess, deeper into this whole thing over here. So I'm just going to read off, I guess, some of this and see what sticks out of it, if there is anything that sticks, because at this point it's like a he said, she said thing, so I feel like, there's going to be some hits, maybe some misses. But I first want to mention that I was being very careful with who I shared the document with. I came to trust one of the more dedicated members of my community, just as I had in the past with many of the people that I've become close friends with, and even some of them that come to help me in my day-to-day business. He goes on to claim that it was basically a violent breach of his trust and was definitely against his wishes that this whole document thing even started. Because yeah, if you guys don't know, it wasn't actually Fedmyster who went along with, I guess, putting the document out there. It got leaked from somebody that he had sent it to, who I guess he claims was someone close in his community. He also claims that the whole document thing was made as a form of therapy for himself to address concerns about the way that Poki portrayed him in her stream. And it has nothing to do with trying to bring up old wounds or anything. He wanted it all to stay private and to be handled privately, but he was apparently stunned when he saw the document on Destiny's stream, and he kind of just wants to use all the rest of this as a way of moving on. So apparently the whole Poki document was a joint statement that they had both agreed to do, so I guess Fedmyster and Pokimane came to this agreement. So this was all kind of planned, like the release of these documents, and then now I guess this one's unplanned from what I understand. I don't know, maybe maybe it's like a fucking boxing thing where they're gonna have like 3 or 4 different agreements for different pages and stuff. Fedmyster says he's never once tried to deny any accusations made against him by Yvonne or Lily, and he says that Pokimane likes to remind everyone over and over why this is all happening to begin with. I'd like to remind her this has nothing to do with that at all. What it has to do with is the misinformation thrown at him by her, and really her alone. He said he had come to a better understanding of her and why she said some of the things that she did, but with that being said, he still strongly disagreed with her careless portrayal of him in front of millions of people. When it comes to Yvonne and the OTV, which is online TV crew or whatever, He claims that he never personally brought up the idea that Yvonne should get kicked out of offline TV ever. Apparently, she had continued to show more texts that proved that, I guess, really the portrayal of him wasn't great because he had brought up his concerns to people in the house, which is something that he never denied and it, I guess, is strongly insinuated that he did. Apparently, the only reason he brought all this up again was to see what there was an attempt to showcase that he had zero interest, I guess, in firing Yvonne over what had happened between them with allegations and whatnot. And he brought up the concerns to the house because he was 100% focused on making OTV more successful. He claims that some of her claims were valid and whatnot, but he showed all these text messages in the first place because he wanted to show that she was actually the one pushing the idea of her being fired, Pokimane being who was supposedly pushing the idea, and then that B, at one point, he had defended her because from his understanding, he thought she was doing a good job and was also getting in streams and whatnot, which they, I guess, thought was cool with them, which apparently largely contradicts that he was trying to get her fired because of the incident between the two. When it comes down to the whole Steve thing, he says that he apologized because he had felt that he'd breached her privacy and that he, thought it was common for them to just say, let's be friends and then act another way and whatnot. So apparently he would tend to agree with some things that she'd said to avoid conflict even until the bitter end. He now knows that one of his issues was the fear of confrontation idea and that he should have been more vocal and talked things out more, but at the time it was much easier to just say, sure, whatever, I'm sorry, than to have an argument about how basically they're leading each other on, which seems to be leaning more towards Pokey. He felt that this was all kind of an argument he was no position in, I guess, to have because A, he wasn't mentally equipped to have it, and then B, he knew she wouldn't buy the sudden change of opinion or whatever going on. He keeps making the claim over and over again that he's trying to learn more about himself in this whole situation to kind of become better from it and whatever. He shows some more text messages, and of course the document will be linked down below if you want to check this out for yourself. But then he goes on about Jody because he wants to apologize to her for painting her to Imane in such a poor light. Apparently two of his closest friends had some concerns that she was using him for views. And I guess this fired him up because he kind of saw the point or whatever and thought that, I guess, the friend was feeling isolated and that's what was upsetting as well, and that the possibility of her exploiting his attention and whatnot was all there. Without really thinking about the validity of such claims, he, I guess, shared some gossip between her and Pokey, which he provides more screenshots and stuff for. He then goes on to say Pokey likes to point out the time that she told me she wanted to just be friends, but this happened a few times. I would eventually accept this and start to see and meet other girls, hang out with them outside of OTV, and then inevitably always return to her grasps when she'd show me signs of hope. Looking back now, we could have been more honest and aware of our behavior around each other. That could have prevented a lot of internal conflict between us. He then goes on to say he wants to once and for all end all this. Both of them can keep digging into the messy private DMs, but the whole point was to show it wasn't as black and white as Pokey originally had shown. He says it should be obvious that they both have different interpretations as to what happened in the past and that the truth is probably somewhere in between. He knows that he basically can't say anything on here or anywhere that absolves him of his wrongdoings, but that was never the point. Rather, when I wrote this, I felt completely betrayed and wanted to gather my thoughts to understand her and my issues better. He said he never disputed any claims made by Yvonne or Lily. He knows he crossed boundaries and disappointed a lot of people, but knows, or that we should know, that he's working every day to become the best possible version of himself. He never had any intentions of this being public, and he much regrets that it was leaked. He wants to move on and start a new chapter. And that's really where this whole thing kind of ends. So with all these different documents now that have all these different contexts and different big bullet points, I guess, for people to talk about, it's been pretty crazy because both sides have been looking like in some way they misled people, or they maybe, I guess, unintentionally did something that just kind of made it lean away. And then, everyone's got these different stories and conflicts about what's going on here and there. And it's really hard to follow up and kind of understand. I think the truth is always usually probably somewhere in the middle, kind of like I guess the point was there. And I feel like, yeah, she definitely kind of led him on at least once, it really happened multiple times for years and whatnot. But I mean, it's pretty hard to deny what you were doing in those texts, constantly flirtatious and whatnot, and then pull back and go back in and stuff like that. But then too, this guy definitely should have taken a clue a little bit better. And then also on top of that, it's somebody's lying about this whole who wanted to have Yvonne fired or whatever kind of thing, right? It just, something about it doesn't add up. And then there's just, I don't know, they're definitely conflicted on this whole thing. I really think they have a lot less understanding of each other's points than they think they do. But I mean, I just wanted to, I guess, kind of end this whole saga, hopefully, here with this video, because we've done 2 before now about this. So it's like, yeah, I just wanted to kind of close this all together and just, make it all stop, hopefully at this point. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus. Well, reading these goddamn documents, man, and signing out.